Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Jay, and it is time for Oh So Inspired for April. Just like previous months, you can see a team collaboration playlist in the description box below, so you can see what everyone else did with this month's inspiration piece, which should be coming on the screen now. This is from Danya of Danya's Doodles. It is a floral fun fold, and you can see a link to her original post as well if you're interested in seeing the inspiration piece in a little more detail. And just it's always nice to drop people some love who inspired all of us. So let me walk you through what we have. The original piece, as you can see, is a Z fold. So I decided that I would also do something inspired by a Z fold. This is also inspired largely by the crop I was at last weekend, which was the Madison Mingle here in, at the time, actually quite nice Madison, Wisconsin, until the last day when things kind of went south in terms of the weather, but oh, it was fun. Anyway, uh, one of my one of the other folks put together a project. Her name was Shauna, and it was also a modified Z fold, so I think you're gonna have fun with this one. I just cut a standard 4.5 by 5, sorry, 4 by 5 1/4 panel, and I decided to go with "Thank you for everything" as the sentiment. And I stamped that in some teal ink just so that it would pop, combined with the rest of the card, which is basically orange and pink. Um, this is really an any occasion card, so you can make it whatever you want. The original uh, piece last weekend actually had a diamond here, so as you can see, diamonds are kind of a theme for this card. This is a 3 by 3 square that I scored in the middle and then cut some of the excess off. And then this is a slightly smaller 2 3/4 inch square cut in half as well. That's going to mount back here in the middle, but it's a lot easier to figure that out once we get the initial piece of pattern paper down and get these little squares together. They're 1 1/4 squares for the white, and then 1 1/2 for the pink. I was just I don't know. I saw a lot of cool floral cards last weekend, so I was just really inspired. And I had this paper, which is some old paper from Spellbinders. As you can guess, this panel is half the size of an A2. So basically, I just cut, this is 2 inches by 5 1/4. So that's going to give us our front piece. And then what I thought I would do, what happens is these diamonds mount at the top of the the bottom, and then the large diamond is in the middle. So I'm going to glue the white pieces down. And then I decided I've been really into lately Creative Fabrica and printing and cutting a lot of the ephemera they have because I got a new printer that can do that. And I've just really been enjoying it because it gives you a lot of stuff to work with. So that's where the florals are from. But obviously, you could use any floral in your stash. You could die cut stuff. There are a million ways you can do this. This is a really flexible card design, um, as is the original inspiration piece as well. I think that's one of the things that's pretty cool about Z folds generally is they're really great in terms of the fact that they stand up. Well, not like that, but on their own. So they work great on a mantle. But they don't really require any more paper than if you were just making a standard A2. So these we're going to see the whole front of. So I was thinking that I would use these little rose-like pieces. As you can tell, my theory here was that the cardstock's a little darker than the pink in the pattern paper, and then the magenta flowers are sort of a shade darker than the pink. These are sort of red pinks, so the magenta is going to really stand out, as is the teal on our sentiment. So that was mostly where my brain was at with this. So now that I have these die cuts, I don't know if they're really, I'll say ephemera. I don't know if they really count as die cuts since I didn't actually die cut them. But what I want to do is glue the tip of the diamond to the tip of the top, and we can, if we decide we want this to be in a different orientation, I really kind of like the flowers looking towards the inside of the card. I think it kind of draws your eye in sort of this area. We have our two little pieces, two little diamonds on. And then what we're going to do is flip to the back and we're going to Basically, you could leave this whole. I just cut off most of the excess because we're gonna glue this and then glue a mat on top of it. So really, all we want to do is try and get our diamond level. That what I'm gonna do is just basically make sure all the points are sort of equidistant, and then I'm going to make sure that the points of the diamond are at the crease or as close to that as I can get. Then I'm just going to burnish this, and then it should attach. You have a little wiggle room because naturally, like the front of the card is going to sort of create sort of a shadow towards the back. The other thing you can do here, if you want, is I'm going to just put more florals on this because I wanted to keep this a pretty flexible card. But what you can do is actually stamp a sentiment here. And the thing that's really neat about this particular design, which you'll see in 1 second, is that this floats, so it really gives you a lot more movement than you get in sort of a normal Z-fold. And depending on you, you can bring it forward, push it back, whatever works for your card design. So so effectively, you have almost a similar size area to work with as with the original ones. So I'm just going to figure out I wanted to use a piece of greenery here, I think. So then I'm just going to do the same thing we did with the other guys. I am going to flip it over, just get glue everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but enough glue to hold it down, certainly. Then I am going to just push that back. I like how that looks. I think that looks nice. I like the pop of green here because this is sort of a bluish green and that kind of works with the teal. So if I pull this forward again so you can see, when it's closed, it basically covers the sentiment almost entirely. And then when it's open, you can see it. But the last thing I want to do is like pretty up the inside a little bit. So I'm going to grab another piece of the same pattern paper from the front, and it is 1.5 by 5, so it's a quarter inch smaller. And then I just cut the same size piece as the front panel. I think the mat will does a really nice job of sort of covering up this transition because you don't really notice this transition as much with a mat here. The other thing it does is it helps to sort of stabilize this piece because you have all the adhesive here as well. Um, and I think it creates a nice sort of look when you have it all together. If you have this open flat like this, it's nice that the pattern paper continues. Bring in one more flower because I have it. I was thinking a flag would be nice, but I think it would have been worked better if I had stamped a smaller sentiment. And, if I had had something a little smaller, I could have done a banner and then done that. But anyway, this is what I have for you this month. I encourage you to check out all of the team's videos because I'm always inspired every month. And also check out the original post.